The US Air Force is engineering a new fighter jet unlike anything they've built before. They're rethinking the entire concept of what a fighter pilot does. And the new design involves putting AI-controlled drones in formation alongside manned aircraft. Not someday. Not in some research lab. Right now. In flight tests. With real airframes. The program is called Collaborative Combat Aircraft, or CCA. And depending on which corner of the defense community you talk to, it's either the most rational evolution in air combat since the jet engine, or the beginning of a much larger shift in how we think about pilots, risk, and warfare altogether. Today we're walking through all of it. What these drone wingmen actually are, how they work alongside a human pilot who's building them, what the Air Force plans to do with them, and why this matters beyond the hardware. The problem they're solving. To understand why drone wingmen exist, you have to understand the problem. And it's not a glamorous one. It's a math problem. The Air Force has been thinking hard about what a conflict in the Pacific would actually look like. Not against a country with modest air defenses, but against China, which has spent 2 decades building one of the most sophisticated integrated air defense networks ever assembled. Overlapping radar coverage, long-range surface-to-air missiles, and fighter aircraft that are legitimately competitive with what we're currently flying. In that environment, sending waves of expensive manned aircraft into a dense threat zone carries a cost. In hardware, yes, but more critically in trained human pilots. The Air Force takes 1 to 2 years to train a fighter pilot. You can't produce them quickly, replace them quickly, or accept high attrition rates the way you could with a drone or a missile. So the core logic behind CCA is this. Multiply the combat effectiveness of each manned aircraft by pairing it with several unmanned ones. The pilot stays at a safer distance. The drones go forward into the threat. The whole formation operates as a coordinated unit. This isn't a theoretical exercise. The Air Force has been running real flight tests with prototype CCA aircraft, evaluating how the human-machine teaming actually functions under operational conditions. The data coming back from those tests is shaping doctrine, software development, and the acquisition decisions that follow. This is a program in motion, not a PowerPoint. What these aircraft actually are. CCAs are purpose-built, jet-powered, stealthy unmanned aircraft, roughly in the class of a small fighter, maybe 30 to 40 feet long, subsonic or transonic, designed from the ground up to work alongside manned aircraft. The collaborative part is the key distinction. These aren't aircraft that follow a pre-programmed route to a target. They're designed to receive dynamic tasking from a human pilot mid-mission, operate semi-autonomously within those instructions, and adapt to changing conditions without constant input. Think of it less like a remote-controlled car and more like a capable colleague who operates independently within clear boundaries, but checks in when a decision matters. The pilot assigns roles. One CCA carries additional air-to-air missiles. One handles electronic warfare. One goes forward to sense the threat environment and relay data back. The manned aircraft stays further back, with more information and a lower risk profile. The question of how much autonomy the CCA has, whether it can fire without explicit pilot authorization, is one the Air Force has been deliberate about. Current doctrine maintains human oversight over lethal decisions. Who's building them? The CCA program is a competitive acquisition. The 2 companies that received initial Increment 1 contracts were General Atomics Aeronautical Systems and Anduril Industries. General Atomics built the MQ-9 Reaper and the Predator series. Decades of unmanned aircraft experience. Their CCA entry is part of the Gambit series. Anduril was founded in 2017 and built explicitly around integrating software and hardware differently than traditional defense contractors. Their Fury aircraft is their CCA offering. Stealthy, jet-powered, designed for high-rate production. They've argued forcefully that cost matters as much as capability. A CCA that costs $80 million defeats the purpose. Boeing's MQ-28 Ghostbat, developed with Australia, is a useful visual reference for what a mature CCA-type aircraft looks like in practice, even though it's a separate program. The competitive structure of this acquisition matters. The Air Force made a deliberate choice not to hand the contract to one of the established primes and walk away. By funding multiple competing designs simultaneously, they're getting real performance data across different engineering approaches and maintaining leverage on cost. That's a different acquisition posture than programs like the F-35. The F-47 connection. You can't discuss CCA without discussing the F-47, officially the next-generation air dominance platform. Boeing won the F-47 contract in March 2025. It's a sixth-generation fighter designed from scratch for contested, high-threat environments. General David Alvin, the Air Force Chief of Staff, described it as having significantly longer range and more advanced stealth than any fifth-generation fighter. Combat radius exceeds 1,000 nautical miles, meaningful in the Pacific where friendly airfields may be hundreds of miles behind the engagement zone. What makes the F-47 distinctly different from the F-22 it replaces? It was designed from the beginning as a quarterback for drone formations. The F-22 is a remarkable aircraft, but it was built in an era before networked AI drone coordination existed. It's a pure air superiority fighter. You get in, you fight, you win. Alone. The F-47 treats the manned aircraft as a command node. The pilot is still central, still making high-stakes decisions. But the avionics, data links, and AI systems are specifically built to manage a collaborative formation. What does that look like practically? An F-47 is tasked with suppressing enemy air defenses. Instead of the manned aircraft going in first and absorbing the risk, a CCA goes forward with jamming active, draws a response from the enemy radar, locates it precisely, and the F-47 engages from range with a standoff weapon. The pilot never entered the most dangerous part of the threat envelope. The drone did. That's the core operational logic. Not replacing pilots, keeping them alive while making them dramatically more effective. The AI layer. When the Air Force talks about AI in CCA, they mean three distinct things. First, autonomy in routine tasks. Formation keeping, collision avoidance, sensor fusion. AI handles these dynamically without waiting for input, freeing the pilot's cognitive bandwidth for what actually requires human judgment. Second, threat recognition and prioritization. In a contested environment, signals are everywhere. Radar emissions, sensor data from multiple sources simultaneously. AI catalogs, filters, and prioritizes faster than any human operator, giving the pilot a cleaner picture. Third, tactical execution within assigned parameters. Weapons release authority stays with the human. That's doctrine. But a wide range of maneuvering and coordination happens autonomously within that constraint. A CCA told to maintain offensive posture against that contact, do not engage without authorization, handles all the geometry of that posture on its own. The Air Force has been deliberately measured here. They're not rushing to autonomous weapons release, because the technology might allow it. They're building capability, testing extensively, and developing governance in parallel. The strategic picture. China has invested heavily in anti-access/area denial, A2/AD. The concept, you don't have to match American capabilities plane for plane if you can build an environment where American aircraft can't operate. Dense radar, overlapping missile systems, long-range anti-ship weapons, electronic warfare. Make the environment so hostile that air power can't project into areas that matter. The F-47's extended range and stealth address is part of that problem. CCAs address another part, extending sensor reach and weapons capacity without putting more human pilots forward in the threat. There's also a targeting complication that's hard to quantify but real. If you're an adversary tracking an inbound F-47 and 4 drone wingmen, all with low radar signatures, all maneuvering. You're not intercepting one aircraft. You're managing the geometry of a formation that can disaggregate and reaggregate. That's a qualitatively different problem than air combat doctrine has historically been built around. And that complexity compounds under real combat stress. Air defense operators are already managing multiple tracks, coordinating with ground-based systems, and working under electronic jamming. Adding a formation that can split, converge, and reassign roles mid-engagement doesn't just add targets, it adds uncertainty. Uncertainty is one of the most effective weapons in any combat environment. The China comparison. China is not sitting still. In December 2024, Chinese state media showed flight tests of 2 new aircraft. A large tailless configuration informally designated the J-36, and a smaller carrier-compatible design. Defense analysts categorize these as 6th-generation development programs. A few things worth noting calmly. Prototype flight and operational deployment are genuinely different. F-47 demonstrators have been flying since 2019, accumulating hundreds of flight hours. That experience isn't visible in a first flight video. China has also faced documented challenges in high-performance engine development. The WS-15 for the J-20 has reported reliability issues, a data point analysts watch when assessing 6th-generation propulsion timelines. And CCA integration, the networked AI drone coordination piece, requires mature software, reliable data links, extensive operational testing, and doctrine development. That gap doesn't close because new prototypes fly. The Chinese programs are real and progressing, but the development foundation gap is significant. The cost reality. The F-47 is expensive. Unit cost estimates range from $200 to $300 million. A fleet of roughly 185 aircraft puts procurement potentially in the $40 to $55 billion range before sustainment. In 2024, Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall paused the program over these concerns. The review concluded there was no viable alternative, and the program resumed, but cost pressure remains. CCAs are partly the answer. If a $25 to $30 million drone performs missions that would otherwise put a $300 million aircraft and an irreplaceable pilot at risk, the math makes sense. But the CCA program has its own cost trajectory to manage. Early projections have already risen. There's a broader budget reality here too. The Air Force is simultaneously funding the F-47, the CCA program, the B-21 Raider, and the ongoing sustainment of F-22 and F-35 fleets, all competing for the same appropriations. How those priorities get balanced in future defense budgets will directly determine how quickly this capability actually reaches operational squadrons. The human dimension. The F-47 pilot is something genuinely new, closer to a small formation commander than a solo combatant. Managing CCAs requires a different cognitive model, not just flying through the threat, but managing a formation, assigning tasks, interpreting data from multiple sources, deciding when and how to employ assets. The AI handles execution. The pilot handles command. That shifts what training looks like, what simulators develop, how tactics are written. Fighter aviation has a strong tradition built around individual airmanship. The CCA concept doesn't eliminate that. It changes the frame. The pilot's value increasingly lies in judgment and command decision-making. Pilots involved in CCA adjacent exercises describe it as genuinely expanding capability. Missions that were previously out of reach or required unacceptable risk become achievable. But it's a different kind of flying. It also creates a new kind of pressure. When a pilot sends a CCA forward into a threat environment and it's destroyed, that's a $25 to $30 million decision made in seconds. When they choose not to send it and the mission fails, that's a different kind of consequence. The judgment calls are real, and the training pipeline has to prepare pilots for exactly that kind of decision-making under pressure. The critics. 3 critiques worth taking seriously. 1. The concept works on paper, but combat is messier. Electronic warfare can disrupt data links. An AI system performing perfectly over Nevada may behave differently in a contested electromagnetic environment over a Chinese air defense zone. Proof in actual combat hasn't happened yet. 2. Cost pressure may be harder to hold than projected. Early defense programs routinely deliver first aircraft well above estimates. CCA Increment 1 has already seen cost growth. 3. Some analysts argue the better approach is larger numbers of lower-cost attritable aircraft. Accepting that some of what goes into a high-threat environment won't return, and designing accordingly. The debate is real and ongoing. A 4th critique, less commonly heard but worth acknowledging: allied interoperability. The United States operates alongside partners who fly F-35s and legacy platforms, not F-47s. How CCA formations integrate, or don't, with allied aircraft in a coalition environment is an operational question that hasn't been fully answered publicly. These aren't reasons to dismiss the program. They're reasons to watch test results, cost data, and doctrine development carefully. Where this is going. The decisions being made right now, how Airpower is structured, what role AI plays, how much autonomy unmanned systems get, how the pilot's role evolves, will shape military aviation for a generation. The CCA program exists because serious people looked at honest threat assessments and concluded the old model wasn't adequate. Their response: extend human pilots through networked AI, reduce risk to irreplaceable people, build systems that adapt as threats evolve. Whether it works as planned, we'll find out. But the direction of travel is clear. The history of military aviation is really a history of the relationship between the pilot and the machine. More speed, more instruments, radar, fly-by-wire, sensor fusion. What's happening with collaborative combat aircraft is the next step in that story. The pilot doesn't disappear. Their role evolves. The machine becomes more capable, and the human's job shifts toward decisions that actually require human judgment. That's not a diminishment of what pilots do. If anything, it raises the stakes of the decisions they're left with. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.